Good afternoon and welcome back to Weekly Wine News. In Old World news, Champagne hails the harvest of the century. The 2018 harvest has come and gone in Champagne, and it truly was exceptional, with growers describing it as a once-in-a-lifetime harvest. When we compare the growing seasons and harvests, 2018 was the complete opposite of 2017 in regards to weather patterns and the health of the grapes. While 2017 early growing season was relatively easy, 2018 was a lot more complicated. The most southern part of Champagne suffered less frost damage than the two previous years, but severe spring hailstorms wiped out complete vineyards in late May and early June. Moreover, the excess of water accompanying these storms was the cause for severe mildew outbreaks, wiping out as much as 40% of the potential crop in certain areas. Luckily, the hot weather during the summer halted the disease, but it also dried out the heavy clay soils completely, and many vineyards suffered further from hydric stress. This year, though, even if it was obvious the grapes were not ripe yet, several large houses and cooperatives asked growers to pick grapes at a maximum of 9.5% potential alcohol. The official reason stated by companies such as Champagne Palmer, Moet, and Chandon was to preserve the acidity levels, but the real reason is most likely financial. Let's remember that chapitalization is a cheap way to increase the total value. It's a lot cheaper than paying for vin ordinaire. Moving to Italy, Cantina Tremin's Gewürztraminer Epocale 2009 is the first Robert Parker 100-point wine outside Tuscany and Piedmont. This is thought by many to be an historic result for the Alto Adige region, and I am one of them. It is the first time Robert Parker grants this recognition to a white wine in Italy, and the first time the award goes to a wine not produced in Tuscany or Piedmont. Epocale is the result of a long-term project by Cantina Tremin aimed at exploring Gewürztraminer aging potential. In order to create this top-level wine, Willi Sturs had chosen two of the oldest vineyards, located near Nussenbaumer Mountain Barn on the southeast slopes of Mendola Mountain. 2009 is Epocale's first vintage. Wow. Less than 10% of the grapes used were botrytis infected and were harvested at the end of the month of October with a yield of about 45 tons per hectare. After the soft pressing, the wine remained on its lees for 8 months before being bottled and carried to the Montenive Silver Mine in Val Ridana at 2,000 meters above sea level. Epocale has been stored inside the mountain, 4 kilometers away from the entrance, 450 meters below the mountain. Pressure and temperature at about 11 degrees centigrade, 52 degrees Fahrenheit, 90% humidity. Levels are constant all year round. Epocale is a Spätlese wine, 107 grams of residual sugar per liter. It represents an old-style version of Gewürztraminer, typical of Alto Adige, whose production has been abandoned 2 centuries ago. Congrats. An association representing Germany's top wine estates has established a new classification for Sekt, the country's sparkling wine. Verband Deutscher Prädikats, VDP, is an organization where most, but not all, of Germany's best-known and most highly regarded wine producers are members. Around 195 wineries in the country are signed up to the association's strict internal quality standards and classifications from vine to bottle. The VDP established its first Sekt classification at its General Assembly this week. The VDP, which actually was earlier in the summer. The VDP Sekt classification mirrors the VDP origin pyramid for wine classifications in Germany. Traditional bottle fermentation is compulsory for all 4 VDP origin categories for Sekt. 2 of these, VDP Gut Sekt and VDP Ort Sekt, must remain at least 15 months on the lees. The single vineyard categories VDP Erstlag and VDP Grosslagersekt, and all single vintage Sekt expressions must spend a minimum of 36 months on their lees. These maturation periods, according to VDP, are modeled after Champagne. Thank you. All grapes, the body claims, have to be picked early, by hand, and must be derived from vineyards which belong to the VDP and are cultivated specifically for Sekt production. Regulations are also set for the alcohol content of the base wine and the maximal amount of juice crushed from the grapes. all the strict VDP regulations are applied to the sect-based wine and described in the specific guidelines. It's great news, and I can't wait to try the new sect. In the New World, the Scotch Whisky Association, SWA, has successfully registered Scotch whisky as a certification trademark in South Africa. The registration in South Africa, the 7th largest Scotch whisky market by volume, according to the SWA, marked a milestone for Scotland's national drink and its largest export market in Africa, and one of the largest in the world. This registration offers Scotch whisky a greater degree of legal protection and will allow us to prosecute rogue traders who seek to cash in on the heritage, craft, and quality of genuine Scotch. Scotch whisky is one of the first foreign registrations in South Africa with protection. It's a pretty amazing feat. Congratulations. In British Columbia, cooler fall weather brought rain last weekend and an end to the state of emergency British Columbia declared on August 15th, as the province logged its worst wildfire season on record, with 3.3 million acres burned. But with the harvest now underway, grape growers and wineries are bracing themselves to see what, if any, impact smoke from the fires had on their fruit. A saving grace in the minds of many growers is that the fires broke out before veraison, when the fruit is much more susceptible to smoke exposure. While smoke swirled through the Okanagan and Similkameen valleys for 6 weeks and lingers still in some areas, it also slowed ripening. The pungent plumes blocked out the sun, but were high enough that it seldom permeated the vineyards. Wineries in Okanagan, including those that source fruit from the Similkameen, are also watchful but confident. Andrew Peller Limited is monitoring fruit and newly pressed juice, and Jeff Delnin at Road 13 Vineyards in Oliver is considering remediation such as reverse osmosis if smoke taint manifests. The Okanagan should be free of smoke taint, and their feeling is that the Similkameen will be too. But if the Similkameen did have a heavier smoke due to the proximity of some fires there, they're prepared for smoke taint and if it provides an issue. More on this as the story progresses. In other industry news, industry research finds that 1 in 20 deaths globally is a result of alcohol use. Over 3 million people died from alcohol consumption in 2016, equating to 1 in 20 deaths globally, according to a new report by the World Health Organization. More than 75% of these deaths were among men, says the report. The largest cause of death, 28%, was due to injuries. This was followed by 21% of deaths due to digestive disorders and 19% due to cardiovascular disease. The remaining causes of deaths were infectious diseases, cancers, mental disorders, and other health conditions attributed to drinking alcohol. Alcohol is consumed by an estimated 2.3 billion people globally, according to the World Health Organization. And school surveys point out that most children start consuming alcohol before the age of 15. Worldwide, 45% of alcohol is consumed as spirits, followed by beer at 34% and 12% picked up by wine. A recent study found that no amount of alcohol is safe for your overall health, with any benefits offset by a higher risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and other conditions. Jeremy Pearson, Associate Medical Director at the British Heart Foundation, said, "While there may be a slight benefit to heart and circulatory health from modest drinking, many studies have shown that the overall health risk of drinking alcohol outweighs any benefits." Sobering news. That's the news this week. I'm happy to bring it to you. Welcome back to Weekly Wine News after our summer hiatus. I'm glad to have you back. Please like our show and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment. Tell us what you want to hear. We're covering wine news weekly as it comes out. If there's something you want us to stay on top of, let us know. I hope you're drinking well wherever you are, because we sure are. Cheers.